I just saw quite possibly the most insane interview I've ever seen. And I just had to come on here and just go nuts because I can't. I literally cannot. I cannot. Wow, and wow. Yo, thanks for being here. Listen, dude, I was just sitting here minding my own business. I was about to, I was about to just go to the gym and just live my life. And I saw this interview right before I walked out the door, and I was like, this is the most insane interview I've ever seen. I was screaming here alone in the office here. Literally screaming. Okay, listen, I was screaming alone, and I was like, oh God. I was like, I need to go on and yell about this real quick. Okay, it's a 21, it is a, what is happening on this planet? Okay, this interview was on CBS News. Hard-hitting news, okay? CBS. All right, great, cool, grand, wonderful. With this human person that I don't know what planet she's living on, Cori Bush. Cori, are you here with us? ET phone home. Are you currently residing on Earth? Cori Bush, are you here on the planet? Because I'm here. I was just curious if you were here. Okay, great. This is a 21-minute interview on CBS. I didn't even make it through the entire 21-minute interview before my head exploded and I died on the ground. I just got resuscitated. A freaking ambulance just came here, gave me a gap, and now I'm back. But listen, I have to go through this step by step because what this woman just said out of her literal human face is unhinged. This woman is not currently residing on Earth. Yo, Cori, are you good, bro? Whoa, here we go. Okay, listen. Okay. High energy, Bill. I had 17 cups of dead pedal coffee. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to play this interview literally through, and I'm going to headbutt my face into the camera at every moment that this lady responds because this is the most insane interview. Special bonus points for people that make it to the end because the last 6 minutes of the interview I haven't even watched yet. But the first 15 minutes, oh my God. Wow. Ho. Okay, here we go. Let's get right into it. Jesus criminies. Okay. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Let's get right into it. Let's get it started. Here we go. This is CBS News. Cori, are you good, dog? Whoa! Cori Bush on CBS News. Interview aired today. Here we go. Let's get it. Wow!
The has issued a new temporary moratorium in COVID-19 hotspots. The previous ban expired on the weekend.
Whoa! Let's go!
Major fears that millions of renters could lose their homes in the midst of a public health crisis. The new order will now expire on October 3rd and covers counties experiencing substantial or high levels of COVID spread. Weijia Jiang is at the White House with more.
The amount of public pressure exploded from members of Biden's own party. Just 24 hours before the CDC made this announcement, the White House insisted there was no legal authority to extend the previous eviction ban.
No legal authority. First, Joseph's basement, double chocolate chip. My daughter's my wife's a doctor. I'm Jilly's husband. Literally said, he's just like, yeah, I don't know that they can do this legally. It's like, yeah, because it's literally not legal. The Supreme Court's like, no, you can't do that. And they're like, yeah, we're about to do it anyways. Okay.
Acknowledged that this new measure may not be constitutional and could face challenges in court, but he said it was worth the effort to help millions of Americans, states and local government.
It may not be constitutional, also known as not legal. Okay, just curious. Just wanted to make sure everyone was on the same page.
More time to distribute the more than $46 billion already set aside for renters. The new moratorium will last for 60 days until October 3rd. It will temporarily stop evictions in places with substantial and high levels of COVID-19,
also known as 90% of the country. Okay.
Transmission, protecting 90% of the country. The CDC cited the intense spread of the Delta variant and how slow
intense spread, barely anybody dying. Okay.
Funds were going out to people who needed help to justify the new ban.
The interview
warned an uptick in evictions could trigger
the interview didn't even start yet.
New spikes in COVID cases.
The uptick, did you hear what this human person just said out of her face? She just said that evictions could cause spikes in cases. What the fuck are you talking about?
Celebrated the measure outside the U.S. Capitol. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who had pressured President Biden to take action, called it a day of extraordinary relief. Now, violating the order could result in fines and even jail time.
You can go to prison for evicting a person that hasn't paid money, hasn't paid their rent. These people are suggesting that they could send you to prison for kicking somebody out that's not paying money to live on your property. What the hell is happening? All right, I'm gonna calm down.
We did. Thank you very much.
Bro.
So joining our conversation,
unbelievable.
Congresswoman Cori Bush.
Here we go. Gear up, Jack.
Thank you so much for joining us. This was a very personal fight for you. You slept outside in protest of the moratorium coming to an end. And
wow.
We know that, it's personal in many ways.
She slept outside in a tent in the warm summer in Washington, D.C. Wow, so brave.
Because you know what it's like not to be housed. You lived under that uncertainty. So we have a bit of a victory here. The moratorium is extended, but it's short term, which means that, in October.
It's short term. It's 60 days long after it's already been there for months.
October, there will be more uncertainty. I know part of what you wanted to do was simply get it extended, keep the protections going for a little bit longer so people can maybe get the aid that they need. But what about a long-term solution? Because come October 3rd, many people are going to find themselves in the very same situation that they found themselves in.
In the future, when people don't pay their bills, they may be evicted in the future. What do you want them to do? Extend it till the end of time, woman? Okay.
Last weekend.
Cori hasn't even talked yet. Wait for what this person says.
Running out of time, running out of money, and not knowing where to go. So what would a permanent solution look like?
So the
question is, what would a permanent solution look like? Just so everybody's on the page, what would a permanent solution look like?
This has bought Congress some time to see what it is that we need to do. One issue that we have is this $40+ billion that is sitting in those state and those local government coffers.
Notice how many times she says dog, consider what word you're about to use and stop saying How are these public representatives so clueless on how to speak publicly? How do you not have a person in your office that's like, dog, you're saying a lot. Maybe stop saying like Jen Circlebacky. Come on now.
That we need
in any public speaking course in any school in America, the first thing they'll tell you is stop saying get your hands out of your pockets and stop swaying side to side. We can see you, we can hear you, dog.
To get out to the people, we need to get it out and see where we are, believing that this will help to get people to get the country back on track as far as those that are looking that are possibly facing evictions. But we need to move that. We need to get that out so that we can see what we still have. And then, we're working on some things.
We need to get that out so we can see what we still have. What does that even mean, bro? What do you mean? You mean the place that's where you guys work? So we can see what we have. What are you talking about?
I think it has to be tackled in a number of ways. We have to look at who we have, what the housing crisis looks like already, and tackle that. That's why I introduced a week ago the Unhoused Bill of Rights, to make sure that we have the protections, the human rights, the civil rights protections for those who are unhoused, and how we make sure that we end this crisis of homelessness, of houselessness, by 2025.
First of all, what the fudge brownie is houselessness? I never heard that in my life. 34 years old, I never heard a person ever in my entire life say houselessness, but okay.
But then also, moving forward, Congress has to look at what we can do right now to be able to make sure that after October 3rd, that we have exhausted all the money that's in the coffers, so that we can go ahead and work to make sure that the people have a footing coming up by December.
Was that an answer? Did anybody hear an answer there? We have to make sure that we know how much is left after we get it out, and maybe figure out in October if we have something to do. What do you mean? That's not an answer to the question. That's not a long-term the question was, what's the long-term solution? She's like, we need to spend all the money and then figure it out. Dog, you knew this was coming for months. What do you mean spend all the money? It gets way worse.
Congresswoman, the moratorium only applies to evictions filed for non-payment of rent. Landlords can still seek evictions for other issues.
Landlords can still seek evictions for other issues. Yeah, as should be their legal right. Okay.
Two-part question here. What options are available to people that are not covered by the new moratorium? And also, what are small or working class landlords to do in the period of this moratorium? Because they are also in dire straits. So
what are the other middle class landlords, like the ones that I talked about in my video yesterday, what are they supposed to do as they suffer financially as a result of these garbage rules?
Sort of a two-pronged.
Wait for this answer.
Question there for you.
Right. And so that's why we are asking for volunteers. We have, my office has put it out saying, hey, we need volunteers to show up, come and help with this, with the emergency rental assistance. There are agencies that are trying to get these applications processed.
I'm going to let you finish, Cori. This woman just said that they need volunteers. So what are the middle class renters supposed to do? We're going to call on volunteers, aka we want people, normal citizens, to come and work for free to figure this problem out, to process the applications. We need volunteers. What are you talking about? We're spending $8 million a year teaching gender studies in freaking Pakistan, but we can't figure out how to process an application?
We can't do, that's where it bottlenecks. If we can't get the applications processed, if people don't know that they are even eligible for this rental assistance. So making sure that the people are there to be able to help disperse this money. That's how we take care of our small landlords. We have to make sure that that the applications are processed in a timely manner to make sure that they receive the funding. We care about our small landlords. We understand that this is how, they only make a little off of having these properties. So we understand that. We want to make sure that that they're taken care of.
What did anybody hear an answer there? We need to make sure that they're taken care of by getting volunteers to come and process applications for, I assume she's suggesting, rental assistance for middle-class landlords. They have so many applications that they need people to come work for free to help process the applications. What? That's the long-term solution? Trust me, it gets way, way worse.
But so can I just ask, Congresswoman, how will you?
And big ups to these journalists. They're actually asking legitimate questions, and she's like, I gotta give it to the journalists, whatever. The questions are actually okay. They're like, what? But here you go.
You ensure that they're taken care of, because that is one of the criticisms.
The money is there. The money is there, though. It's $40 billion.
He said, how do you ensure that they're taken care of?
$1 billion. They cannot receive the money. The Treasury has already released the money. If we had a conversation with Secretary Yellen just on yesterday, our caucus did. The money has been released from the Treasury. What we need to do, they cannot receive the money if the applications are not made and processed in due time. The money is sitting there, we're not fighting for that. So if we can make sure that the Because that's what's happening. I can speak locally. That's a problem that we have been having. People have been calling saying, I'm trying to get my application done. I'm trying to follow all of these processes. We have to streamline the process, make it easier for people to be able to get the applications done, make it easier for the landlords to be able to get their part done and then disperse. But when it's bottlenecked with the application process, some communities have 45-page like applications. We have to cut that and streamline that. So that's something that in our caucus we have been talking about.
Again, if someone asks you how you're supposed to do it and your answer is we have to do it, that's not an answer. But okay, it gets way worse.
And there are some forbearance programs that are available too. I don't know how much of them is available to landlords, but I think that the forbearance programs are probably mired in the same challenges that the rental assistance programs are mired in that in this case, if you're depending on the banks to let you know about the forbearance options, they may not be as forthcoming. But that's sort of down almost another lane. You heard the president when you were asking him to step in with this moratorium, he sort of pushed back and said, our hands are tied because of the Supreme Court decision. It's just unclear how the Supreme Court will respond to this new moratorium because it did rule in June that the eviction ban could only be renewed through legislation. The president was asking for Congress to step in. Here's what the president said yesterday when he was asked about the potential legal challenges.
Any call for moratorium based on the Supreme Court recent decision is likely to face obstacles. I've indicated to the CDC I'd like them to look at other alternatives than the one that is in power in existence, which the court has declared they're not going to allow to continue.
Yeah, the obstacles are you can't legally do this. The CDC should have has no right to do this. But okay, he's literally saying, he's like, yeah, I don't know, I'm pretty sure we can't legally do this. And it was like, okay.
Why hasn't Congress acted? This moratorium, even
it gets
the
better.
president is acknowledging that he doesn't know if it's on, solid legal ground. Isn't it time for Congress to do something?
We are Congress. We are having conversations. We have had so many conversations on the steps. We understand that this victory that we had on yesterday was just a step to kind of stave off what was happening. But we have to now do the work to make sure that that we're not in this position again. So that conversation has already started, and we're just working as a caucus to figure out what the next step is. Because personally,
this deadline we knew when this deadline was coming.
Yes.
It seems like conversation should have happened maybe a few months ago,
Well,
we knew this deadline was coming. Perhaps the conversation should have happened a few months ago. We were having those conversations. Well, obviously they were very productive. Cori, listen.
To the thing that the conversations were happening. Let me just be clear that we started sending letters. We started doing the work months ago. So letters started in January of this year. January, March, May, June, July.
Months.
Our office,
June, July.
Representative Ayanna Presley, Representative Jimmy Gomez, and so many others, progressives were sending letters saying, hey, we need this extended. And our office was saying, we need it not only extended, we need it strengthened. We need to hear from you. Like, we need to get this done. So in January, what she's saying is that in January, they were already suggesting that it needs to be extended and strengthened. Wow. So this work had already started. The thing is, I will speak, and I'm speaking for myself.
We know that.
I was thinking that because we're talking about millions of people being forced out of their homes, that this would not happen.
No, millions of people are not being forced out of their homes. It just allows a landlord to make a person leave if they don't pay rent.
And where it could actually happen. And that people would not, that the moratorium would not happen. We had expressed repeatedly that this is what we needed to happen. So this didn't just pop up. We weren't just laying down, allowing this to happen. No, we were acting in our capacity to try to see this thing happen. But personally, just speaking for me, I did not think that it's unconscionable that this could happen. And so that's how it's
unconscionable that you should be evicted from your home for not paying the rent. It is unconscionable.
That's how I looked at it.
That's how she looks at it. I'm speaking for myself. Yeah, we know.
Congressman, before we let you go, let me ask you about something else.
He goes, before we let you go, and there's another 10 minutes. Listen, this is what it gets really good.
Aside from the moratorium, you faced some criticism in recent weeks over your push to defund the police. Campaign records show that you spent roughly $70,000 on private security, and some critics say that move is hypocritical. What's your response to those critics?
They would rather I die. You would rather me die?
You would rather me die? Whoa, whoa.
What you want to see?
Is that what you want
to see me die? You know, because that could be the alternative. So either I spent $70,000 on private security over the last few months, and I'm here standing now and able to speak, able to help save 11 million people from being evicted, or I could possibly have a death attempt on my life. And we're also talking about the same exact people who say horrible things about me, who lie to build up their base. And then because they lie about me, I receive death threats. Now, they don't address the fact that I receive death threats after they go on air and say horrible things about me. But then they want to say, oh, but she needs private security. I have private security because my body is worth being on this planet right now. I have private security because the white supremacist, racist narrative that they drive into this country, the fact that they don't care that this Black woman that has put her life on the line, they can't match my energy, first of all. This Black woman who puts her life on the line, they don't care that I could be taken out of here. They actually probably are okay with that. But this is the thing. I won't let them get that off. You can't get that off. I'm going to make sure I have security because I know I have had attempts on my life and I have too much work to do. There are too many people that need help right now for me to allow that. So if I end up spending $200,000, if I spend $10 more on it, you know what? I get to be here to do the work. So suck it up, and defunding the police has to happen. We need to defund the police and put that money into social safety nets because we're trying to save lives. What other occupation can do work that's out of their scope and still be propped up?
Yo, what?
To do work that's out of their scope. As a nurse, I can't be the surgeon too. You don't want me being your surgeon and I'm the nurse. At what point do we pay police to be social workers? No, we don't. How do they get to be social workers? So what I'm saying is, you do your job. Let the people who have gone to school with a particular skill set do theirs. Neither defunding the police and being able to have security because those same folks are causing it. It's two totally different things. And this is my last point on this. If I have actual police officers who have threatened my life, tell me about that. Tell me that I don't need security. And let me just say this last thing.
No one's stopping you.
My security is not against communal violence. My security is not to keep me safe from the people of St. Louis. My security is to keep me safe from those racist attempts made against my life. Now, if you want to do something about that, stand up and...
So the security is not to protect her against the people of St. Louis. It's to protect against racist threats on her life. First of all, why are the threats racist? What makes them racist, number one? Number two, this woman is literally saying that she wants to defund the police because the alternative of her not having security, for example, is that she dies. Would you rather me die? So she deserves to have $70,000 of taxpayer money spent on her having private security because she might die. Yet people that are in the inner city or people that are being at risk of dying themselves because there's no police, those people don't deserve to be protected. You need to defund the police, but you need to protect her because you would rather her die. And also, anybody that disagrees with me is a racist white supremacist just because they disagree, because they lie about her on TV because they don't like what she has to say and don't like her policies. That makes you a racist and a white supremacist. And would you rather me die or pay $70,000 of taxpayer money for private security? But don't worry, it's only protecting her from the white supremes and the racists. It's not protecting you from the people. So somebody from St. Louis comes, they're like, yeah, you can get her, but as long as you're not a white supremacist, as long as you're not a racist.
Do something about that. I didn't see any of those people that have come against me with this negativity, with these lies, with these smears, stand up when they saw the N-word, when they saw me post stuff about me being hung, the threats on my life, hanging me and burning me, frying me and my family like bacon. They didn't say.
Who's saying that Cori Bush needs to be fried like bacon? Who's saying that?
Anything about that, and that was just
because I remember them saying that. I remember other people saying that about the police. That actually would make sense in the context of somebody insulting the police. But I don't recall. I would like to see an example of somebody saying that about Cori Bush, because there are plenty of examples of people actually saying that about the actual police all year for the last 2 years. Who's saying that Cori Bush needs to be fried like bacon? Are you joking me? Listen.
A piece of what I receive all the time. But you know what? I take that and I walk with my head up and my shoulders back.
Sassy. As long as you say it's sassy, it's definitely true. Say it sassy and with conviction. Sassy and with conviction, and everyone's going to believe you. Sassy with my head held high. Okay.
I know I'm doing the work for the people. I'm on the right side of history, and if they want, they can come and meet me to my face. Come and meet me.
Yeah, come and meet me. Yeah, come and meet me to my face while I have security standing around me. Come meet me to my face. I got guys with guns next to me. Come meet me to my face. There's a guy with a gun standing next to me. Come meet me to my face.
These steps and fight for the people this way. You show up.
Show up
for the people the way that I have. You put your body on the line the way that I put my body on the line.
Put your body on the line. You mean what you mean? Do your actual human job with $70,000 of taxpayer-funded private security? You mean doing your job, the job that you chose to do, the job that you signed up for, that you get paid over $150,000 a year to do? Put your body on the line with private security. You know how many people in America have private security? Probably 1% of them, not even 1%. But Cori Bush is putting her body and her life on the line for 6 figures while a guy walks around with her with a gun on his hip. But that's her life on the line. Okay, Cori.
Until you can do that, I suggest you take several seats.
Take several seats. Listen to this. This is by far the best question of the entire thing. This is where my head exploded and I turned the live stream on. Listen very intently to what this reporter says to Cori Bush right now. This is the best moment of the entire interview. Unbelievable. Listen to this.
For the people the way that I have.
Listen to her response.
You put your body on the line the way that I put my body on the line. And until you can do that, I suggest you take several seats.
Several seats. Listen.
Congresswoman, have you had police officers threaten you?
Absolutely. I mean, I've been in this fight for 7 years. I'm a Ferguson activist. That happened to us. That has happened to us. It's not just me.
Listen.
Ferguson Frontline, that has happened to us multiple. I mean, it's more times than we can count.
But even now, as a member of Congress, you've had police officers threaten your life.
I mean, and they're still people. And you know what the thing is? They can threaten my life and I'm still working for them. I'm still going to work for them. I'm still going to make sure their families are taken care of because I'm no respecter of persons. If you have a need, I'm going to take care of you because that's my job. I love the people 100%. I don't care what your occupation is. I don't care if you like me at all. I'm still going to do the work to make sure that your family has clean water, clean air, healthcare, a place to live, and all of that because that is who we have to be.
She asked her, because this woman just said, Cori Bush just said that police officers have threatened her life while she's been a member of Congress. That's what she just said. She said police officers have threatened your life. And then the reporter goes, "Wait, so you're saying that police officers have threatened your life while you've been a member of Congress?" And that was her answer. And watch. Now listen, the reporter is going to ask her again one more time. Listen to this.
Love humanity.
But presumably, Congresswoman, I would hope that those, as you allege, those police officers would be removed, or at least you would let your security detail and the mechanisms in place in Congress to ensure that those officers are not still patrolling the streets.
Well, if work is being done, there's nothing that comes in that is not being handled. So we're fine. We're fine.
What did she just say? So the guy's like, "Yo, are you serious? So you're not going to tell your security detail and you're not going to tell anybody about the police officers that threaten your life so that you can get them off the street? You're not going to tell anybody about these police officers." And she just goes, "We're fine. No problem. The work's being done." What? That sounds like a lie, Cori. What do you mean? He literally is like, "Are you kidding me? So you're not going to tell anybody who these police officers are that threaten your life? You're not going to tell anyone so that they get off the street?" Because if a police officer is going to threaten the life of a member of Congress, and she's all about defunding the police and getting everybody taken care of, don't you think that she would care about all the people that this police officer is going to threaten their life? Are you joking me? That is the most ridiculous answer I ever heard in my life.
Fine, we'll keep moving.
Congresswoman, it sounds like you are
Listen,
handling things.
Listen.
Still patrolling the streets.
Listen to
Well, if work is being done, there's nothing that comes in that is not being handled. So we're fine. We're fine.
There's nothing that's coming in that is not being handled. So she just alleges that a police officer is threatening her life. But don't worry, anything that comes in, it's being handled. We're fine. If you could see her face when she gives that answer, you'd be like, "Wow, I don't believe you." That is the most ridiculous garbage answer I've ever heard in my life for an accusation that a police officer is threatening her life. You would think that this person that flips out about anything and everything would report that. She would be on the news. She could literally save another person's life, supposedly, by just reporting this police officer or these police officers that theoretically are threatening her life. You could save another person's life if this even really existed. That is such a lie.
We'll keep moving.
Congresswoman, it sounds like you are handling things.
She's handling things.
As I was listening to you, I thought to myself, did she have any idea the challenges that she was facing when she took this job and decided to go to our nation's capital? I'm just sort of curious about your reaction to this. It's going to be a tough job. But it's
a tough job as you get greased for 150 clams a year. Yeah, it's such a tough job. It's so tough. Such a tough job. 150 stacks and the best healthcare in America. What a tough job. It's so tough for Cori. Oh, it's so tough. Oh my God, it's such a tough job. You need a break.
Something else to, believe that your life is at risk.
Yeah, but it was a tough job being out on the streets of Ferguson for more than 400 days with real bullets and rubber bullets, with white supremacist threats, with being terrorized and tear gas and brutal assaults constantly, day after day, being heavily surveilled and harassed and intimidated over and over again. And that didn't just happen during the Ferguson uprising. It continued on for many years. So that was difficult. Standing before those tanks, that was difficult. Having
tanks. Standing before those tanks.
Guns in my face pointed at me.
Guns in my face pointed at me.
That was difficult. Watching my friends beaten and brutalized, that was difficult. So this is St. Louis prepared me for this. So I don't feel like this is so much worse than what I've dealt with all of this time. Shout out to the Ferguson activists who do not get exposure where people don't know your story. I'm shouting you out right now. All of my
Hey guys, she's shouting you out right now. So do something with that.
St. Louis activists.
Congressman, I remember seeing you out in the streets of Ferguson back in 2014. And, I remember thinking to myself that you were somebody who was taking it to the street. And I
saw you in the streets, and I remember thinking that you were somebody who takes it to the streets. Okay.
I don't know if you, as Anne-Marie said, if you thought in your mind back then, as it was all unfolding, all the weeks and weeks and weeks that you spent out there protesting racial injustice, that you would one day put your hand on the Bible and take that oath of office. Did you imagine that?
Not at all. You could not. If you would have said that to me, because I had already said years before that I would never run for office. I would never, because my dad, Earl Bush, has been in politics for most of my life. And I saw a good man do great things. And I saw so much like greed and corruption and just people trying to just damage his name. I was like, why would anybody want to do that? So no. But the moment called, the people called and asked me to do it. So I stepped up. But no, absolutely not.
Well, Congresswoman Cori Bush.
I know you were running out of time, and you've actually given us more time than we were allotted, but I just want to squeeze this in really quickly. You talk really passionate about some progressive issues, including
really passionate
in policing. Can I ask you quickly about the special election in Ohio?
I just want to remind you that the Ferguson, Missouri uprisings, where she was taking it to the streets with guns in her face and standing up to tanks, was a series of riots in the streets because of the shooting of Michael Brown. Which has widely been reported as not the thing that they suggest that it is. Like this guy's hand, like you can look into that case, and me even mentioning it on here makes it so that this video can't serve to certain people. But like, look into the Ferguson, Missouri riots, look into the shooting of Michael Brown, and see the legal process that they went through to determine the legitimacy of whether or not those cops acted in the right on that case. Because nobody went to prison for it, nobody was arrested for it. They did an exhaustive investigation and found that this dude was not that good of a dude. What this guy did was not good. And any person that thinks that you can justify rioting in the streets for what happened to that guy and what happened in that situation is insane. You're insane. And this woman stood in the streets and supposedly stood up to tanks for this situation. Unreal. But she really took it to the streets, guys. Don't worry. The people called. The people called for Cori. Good job, Cori.
Democratic candidates who are running for the primary. The one that you back, the progressive candidate, did not win. I'm talking about Nina Turner. Instead, we have the candidate Chantel Brown that was backed by the Congressional Black Caucus, more moderate Democrats.
She was backed by some of the Congressional Black Caucus. Mm-hmm. She was backed by some of the Congressional Black Caucus.
There you go.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are reading a lot into this race, whether or not it indicates the direction of the Democratic Party. What's your takeaway?
No, it doesn't indicate anything. That was one election. It was a special election. Congratulations to Chantel Brown. It was one election. It is an indicator of absolutely nothing. It was a special election where it was kind of a thing where we don't want any more people like Cori Bush. We want to keep, and that's fine. We get to mobilize. This was a special election. Another election is coming up. There are more elections around the country. This did not hurt us at all. I spoke to my dear sister, Nina Turner, this morning, and she is doing great, and at some point I'll talk to Chantel and wish her congratulations. We're continuing to move. If you pay attention to the fact that it was progressives out here that just helped 11 million people stay in their homes and 6 million families stay in their homes. So progressives have power here. We're not backing down. And the other thing is this. I know who Nina Turner is. I know what she believes in. I know we need more people like that right here in Congress. that are going to be the ones that not only say, I'll sit out here with you, I'll be with you, but the ones that have the instinct to go ahead and do the thing. So it's not over. There are more elections to come. My sister Amy Villela is coming up, in Nevada, and so many others. This thing is happening. I'm looking forward to what's about to happen. So it's no indicator that progressives are not going to be able to win at all. People try to say that about me. I'm here.
You're here.
You're here. So, in summation, this woman had no long-term solution, no answer for what's supposed to happen long-term for all of the middle-class families that are not able to pay their mortgage, that are going to end up ultimately selling their property and selling their homes to large equity firms like BlackRock, who can just very quite simply, easily reduce the quality of the product, reduce the quality of these properties that get rented, and then just raise the rent. So that seems totally fine. No answer for how that's supposed to be handled. She also suggested that that the way to solve it long-term for those landlords is to have people go to volunteer to help process applications. The $40 billion that they're having a tough time distributing to people because of supposedly bottlenecks, you have $40 billion. So they can't figure out how to disperse the money to the bottlenecks because the applications are 40 pages long. So she wants normal people to come and volunteer, aka work for free, to help process these applications. That's the long-term solution. That's all the 11 million people that she saved from getting kicked out of their home for 60 days. She saved them. She also suggests that defunding the police is a good idea. We have to defund the police. How could you not want to defund the police? But if I don't have personal security to protect my life, that means that you want me to die. That means you would rather me die than spend $70,000 of taxpayer money on private security to protect my life because there's supreme threats to her life, apparently. But don't worry, guys. She's putting her life on the line for $150,000 a year with $70,000 private security following her around. But she's putting her life on the line because the people called. The people called. And while she was in Ferguson, staring down guns in her face and tanks at a riot in the street that had absolutely no justification for even occurring, because the case that they were rioting about was ridiculous, and they proceeded to do probably tens of millions of dollars in damage, destroying local businesses and hurting the local community for literally nothing, of which there was no legal follow-up, of which there was nothing. No one even went to prison for it at all, if I remember correctly. And then they lied about the things. It was the hands up, and that didn't even supposedly happen. And it's just like, okay, according to an FBI investigation, found there was no evidence that Brown had his hands up in surrender or said don't shoot before he was shot. I don't have the specific details of this case in front of me, but I recall them saying that this dude's DNA was on the gun of the cop in his car. This dude reached into a car and grabbed a gun of a police officer. No police officer was brought to any supposed justice for this, yet there were riots in the street. And this person that supposedly is a representative of the people of St. Louis or the people of Missouri, she was on the streets fighting with guns in her face, facing down tanks because they lied about what this guy even did. And it's like, okay, cool. And now she's in Congress being greased for 150 grips a year with private security to the tune of $70,000 of taxpayer money. And she's sitting on the steps of the Capitol crying about how they had to extend it for 60 days when they knew that this was coming for 9 months. They wanted to extend it for 9 months. They need to strengthen it, give a bunch of non-answers. And if you don't believe that the police should exist, then if you don't believe that she should have private security, that means you're a supreme and you want her to die. That's what she just said in this interview with CBS News. And then she said that police officers have threatened her life. And when asked, why don't you tell somebody in your security detail, or why don't you tell some authority who these police officers were that threatened your life so that we could get them off the street. A completely and totally legitimate question that any person would ask a person, especially a sitting member of Congress, a question that you would ask them, why didn't you tell anybody about these police officers? And she goes, oh, don't worry, we're handling it. It's okay, we're handling it. AKA, that didn't happen. That's a complete and total lie. And this woman is full of hot air. A complete and total lie, a bunch of total non-answers. Good on these journalists for asking the questions, but a complete garbage interview in totality. This woman should be ashamed of herself. Who cares about the landlords? Answer, nobody. What happened in Missouri? Answer, riots. Was it even justified? Absolutely not. Yet this person supposedly represents people. Unbelievable. A disturbing interview, to say the least. A complete and total disaster. Completely makes absolutely perfect sense as to why all of these people are surrounding her. You got Ocasio, you got this woman, Cori Bush, Ayanna Pressley, Ilhan Omar. All of these people are complete and total virtue signaling, lying, garbage merchants that are selling people emotional manipulation. This woman has no idea what she's talking about. She just lied straight through her face. And if you could see her face in that interview, which I would highly suggest you looking it up, Cori Bush says CDC's new eviction moratorium buys additional time. Look that interview up on YouTube and watch her face. You can clearly tell that this person is lying. So it's just like, okay, so she's going to suggest that people are saying that she needs to fry like bacon, which is something that was actually said by prominent members of society about the actual police for the last year and a half. Literal words that were literally said by actual people, proven to have been said, and has been said about the police for the last 12 months. Yet she's going to suggest that someone said that she specifically, Cori Bush, is supposed to fry like bacon. First of all, that doesn't even make any sense. Number one, why? Why bacon? Why is that? How does that even make sense? She completely just crossed the lines of her brain function in that interview. And it was a disaster. I just had to come on and yell about it. That's all that I have. Unbelievable. What a terrible show. Anyhow, back to your regularly scheduled day. Thanks for being here with me at 12:30. I appreciate your time and attention. Big thanks to NIUMT 2009 Chiefs official Elbreen 17 and Cheech 1973 for the badges on Instagram. There's 166 people watching on Facebook and YouTube. That is a new record. So between the two, there's about 200 and almost 300 people watching right now. Thank you guys so much for your time. That was all I had to say for that. I'm gonna cut it at this point, but thank you guys for your time. I hope you enjoyed that. Go watch that interview. Cori Bush is out of her gourd. That was absolutely insane. And yeah, I guess I'll just go live now. Great. Good job. Nice job, Cori.